The sun was high and bright when Thomas finally opened his eyes, feeling the warmth of his birthday morning settle over him. He stretched his arms wide, feeling the strength in his muscles and a sense of pure excitement in his chest. Today was the big day. Almost immediately, his phone began to buzz on the nightstand. It was a flood of messages and calls that didn't seem to stop. His best friends were already joking around in the group chat, and then a call came through from Judy. Her voice was soft and sweet, but there was a hint of something else in her tone, an excitement that made Thomas grin. She told him she couldn't wait to see him and whispered that she had a surprise planned that would change everything. Thomas laughed, thinking she just meant a great gift, and started his day with a spring in his step. The afternoon was busy and full of energy. Thomas spent hours moving furniture, carrying heavy stacks of chairs, and setting up a long table in the center of the living room. He felt strong and capable, humming to himself as he arranged plates of food and cold drinks. He wanted everything to be perfect for his guests. By the time he was finished, the apartment looked like the perfect place for a celebration. He caught his reflection in the hallway mirror, a tall young man with broad shoulders and a confident smile. He felt like he was exactly where he was supposed to be in life, surrounded by people who cared about him. The doorbell finally rang, and it was Judy. She looked beautiful, holding a small bag and smiling at him in a way that made his heart race.
Happy birthday, Thomas,
She said, giving him a long hug. Before they could talk more, the rest of the group arrived. His friends Mark, Chris, and Sarah burst through the door with loud cheers and music playing from a portable speaker. The apartment was suddenly filled with life. They spent hours eating, telling old stories, and laughing until their sides ached. Thomas was having the time of his life, feeling the heavy rhythm of the music and the warmth of the crowded room. He was the center of attention, and he loved every second of it. As the evening went on, the sky outside turned a deep purple. Judy walked over to Thomas and leaned in close, her hand resting on his arm.
I can't wait any longer.
She whispered over the noise of the party.
Come with me to the other room. I have your real gift ready.
Thomas felt a spark of curiosity. He followed her away from the loud music and the shouting of his friends, stepping into the quiet of the back bedroom. Judy closed the door behind them, cutting off the noise of the party until it was just a faint hum. The room was dark, except for the tiny flickering light of a single candle sitting on a small cake on the desk. Judy reached into her bag and pulled out a small blank piece of paper and a pen. She looked at Thomas with an expression he couldn't quite read. It was a mix of nerves and pure joy.
This is a special tradition from my family.
She said simply.
It sounds crazy, but it works. I want you to write down your deepest wish on this paper. Don't show me, just write it, hold the edge of the paper to the candle flame until it starts to burn, and then blow the candle out.
Thomas looked at the little cake and the dancing flame. It seemed like a simple, fun game, but the way Judy was watching him made it feel much more important. He took the pen, his hand steady, and thought for a moment. He scribbled a few words on the paper, his heart starting to thump loudly in his chest. He held the paper to the flame, watching the corner turn black and curl. And then he leaned in close to the candle, ready to make his wish a reality. Thomas took a deep breath and blew. The tiny flame vanished, and for a heartbeat, the room was plunged into a thick, heavy silence. But then, the air began to hum. A strange, warm tingle started at the base of his spine, spreading like a wave of soft electricity through his entire body. It wasn't painful. It felt like his very molecules were shifting, vibrating at a frequency he had never felt before. He tried to reach out for the desk to steady himself, but his arms felt different, lighter, thinner, and incredibly smooth. In the shadows, the transformation was rapid and silent. He felt his broad shoulders melt away, narrowing into a delicate, graceful frame. His chest began to feel heavy and full, his skin stretching as his curves blossomed, filling out his shirt in a way that felt both alien and strangely right. His waist pulled inward, and he felt his legs stretch out, becoming long, slender, and elegant. The most shocking sensation was on his head. He felt a heavy weight cascading down his neck as his short hair began to grow at an impossible speed, flowing down her back in soft, silky waves. Judy fumbled for the small lamp on the bedside table. When the soft amber light flickered on, she let out a sharp, muffled gasp, her hands flying to her mouth.
Thomas? No.
She was standing there, trembling slightly. Her face had changed completely. The sharp, rugged jawline was gone, replaced by a soft, enchanting roundness. Her chin was delicate, her lips were full and naturally rosy, and her eyes looked larger and more brilliant, framed by thick, dark lashes. She looked like a masterpiece, an absolutely breathtaking woman standing in a pile of clothes that were now far too large for her new, feminine body. Judy walked closer, her eyes wide with a mix of terror and absolute wonder.
Thomas? I can't believe it.
She whispered, her voice shaking.
It actually happened.
She reached out, her fingers trembling as she touched the girl's long, shimmering hair.
You look incredible. You're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. But oh my God, your face, it's so charming, so soft.
The girl looked down at her new hands, slender fingers and narrow wrists. When she finally found the courage to speak, her voice wasn't the deep baritone of a man anymore. It was a soft, melodic sound, like a silver bell.
Judy, what have we done?
She asked, her voice filled with a mix of shock and a strange new curiosity. She walked over to the mirror, staring at the stunning stranger looking back at her. A slow, mesmerized smile spread across her lips. She wasn't just different, she was perfect. She traced the curve of her new hips and the soft lines of her face, unable to look away from the miracle that had just occurred. A thrill of pure feminine delight raced through her, warring with the sheer disbelief of what she had become. Suddenly, a loud bang on the door made them both jump. "Hey, are you two ever coming out?" Mark's voice boomed from the hallway, followed by the muffled laughter of the other friends. "The pizza is here, and we're waiting for the birthday boy." The two girls froze, staring at the wooden door that was the only thing separating them from the crowd outside. The music was still thumping in the living room, and the laughter of their friends felt like it was coming from a different world. Judy looked at her, her heart racing visibly in her chest.
How are we going to do this?
Judy whispered, her eyes darting from the door back to the beautiful girl standing before her.
How do we walk out there and tell them that Thomas is gone? Mark, he won't even be able to speak when he sees you.
She looked at the doorknob, her new heart hammering against her ribs. The party was waiting for a man who no longer existed. She looked at Judy, a spark of mischievous intrigue shining in her brilliant new eyes. Her life as a man was a memory from 5 minutes ago, and the door was about to open on a world that wasn't ready for the goddess about to step through it.
Let's give them a birthday surprise they'll never forget.
We
She
have to go
whispered,
now.
her voice like silk, as her hand reached for the lock.